the quarterbacks who appear in this book, who are the quarterbacks who would be on most lists of the greatest ever, virtually all played on teams with better than average defenses, top 10 defenses most of their careers. You know, Joe Montana keeps coming back to Montana, but that's just the way it is with arguing for the greatest against the greatest. Joe Montana played on teams with better defenses by and large than Tom Brady has played on. Terry Bradshaw arguably has 4 Super Bowl rings because he played on a team with a great defense. Terry Bradshaw's job was to hand the ball off to running backs and to not let the defense's good work go to waste. But for the most part, I'm looking at people who played on offenses that were supported by great defenses. Maybe to a lesser extent, Peyton Manning's Colts and Tom Brady's recent New England Patriots. Other than that, and you know, you also look at in the current NFL, the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers has had great success, though he had most of his success with teams that did have great defenses. He's now having success with a team that does not, by any sort of standard, they have a good defense. You know, in the same way that the Patriots have a good defense, they round into form at the right time. They don't have a great defense, but for the most part, again, going back through history, you just don't find successful quarterbacks on teams with lousy defenses. You're always trying to make up. You're always trying to catch up.
And how much of a role does coaching play in this, both in terms of quantity and quality? I think most, if not all, of the quarterbacks you compare him to in the book played under excellent or Hall of Fame coaches.
Right, and that's one of the factors that's sort of hardest to work around. Rarely in NFL history do you find great quarterbacks without great coaches, great coaches without great quarterbacks. I say that, and then I'll tell you that that's not true. There certainly have been great coaches who weren't paired with great quarterbacks, and great quarterbacks who weren't paired with great coaches. We just don't talk about them because they didn't achieve success. You have to have both. One of the criticisms that's frequently leveled at Tom Brady is that he's a system quarterback. Not every great quarterback, most great quarterbacks, certainly the best of the best, have been system quarterbacks. They bring a lot to the field. One of the things they bring to the field, and this was true of Bart Starr, this was true of Joe Montana, it's certainly true of Tom Brady, and we see it in people like Rodgers and Breeze nowadays. Their great ability is their ability to execute, or one of their great abilities is their ability to execute their coach's system. They're system quarterbacks. You have people, Johnny Unitas wasn't anybody's idea of a system quarterback. Johnny Unitas went out there and chunked the ball around and made things happen because he was a great athlete and a great leader on the field. Peyton Manning is not a system quarterback. He is the coach on the field. So he is the great quarterback and the great coach rolled together. And you know, no insult to Tony Dungy, but I sort of have this notion that Tony Dungy is a great defensive coach whose great offensive accomplishment was looking at Peyton Manning and saying, well, you know what you're doing, just go do it. But more often than not, the two things are inseparable: great quarterback, great coach, if you're going to achieve a level of success. So then you get to start to asking the question of, well, how much was quarterback and how much was coach? It's hard to tell with Tom Brady because he's only played under one coach. A little easier with Montana, who played under 2 coaches, and one in San Francisco and one in Kansas City, and had success in both places. Seems to be indicative of the fact that he could succeed in different systems. Peyton Manning has now translated his success from Indianapolis to Denver. But again, Peyton Manning is sort of doing his own thing. Bart Starr is one of the places where you run into some trouble, because Bart Starr didn't have a lot of success before Vince Lombardi came along, and particularly Vince Lombardi's system, which, much like Bill Walsh's system in San Francisco years later, was revolutionary at the time and set up a lot of success. Bart Starr also didn't have a lot of success after he was divorced of Lombardi. There it's pretty clear that it's, and this does not, to my mind, take anything away from Starr. He was fantastic at executing the system. But that's a clear case where coach and quarterback needed each other, and where the quarterback's success is substantially attributable to the coach. I don't know how to I don't know how to correct for that with Brady, and I suspect that I never will have that ability, because I don't think he's ever playing for another coach.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law, the leader of reform in legal education and a leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full interview and for a full listing of MSL's programs, log on to mslaw.edu.